All right, it's 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here this evening. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone can stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we take a roll call, please?
Ryan Robertson.
Here.
Kevin Key.
Here.
Alan Schneider.
Here.
Tom Sexton.
Here.
Logan Schneider. Here. Chris Burnson.
Here. All right, we've got everyone here. First order of business is approval of the agenda.
The only change I would have is OPN and Axiom that we're going to be here for item 9A. They are out because of the weather, and we will see them at one of the next council meetings, I believe, April 6th is what we've discussed so far. We'll get that confirmed and on the next agendas.
So we won't have any discussion on that at all. Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that correction.
I'll second
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved and we'll move on to our consent agenda. Any questions on those items?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. Next up is our public forum. So we do have a few options for public input at the meeting this evening. So the first would be if you have something to speak about on the agenda other than our public hearing for the sewer project. Now is our public forum, so you're welcome to speak. If that is what you're here for, something outside of the sewer project, we will have next a public hearing on the sewer project and you'll have an opportunity to speak then. Anything else that's on the agenda will be the city council's discussion. We may have questions for those of you in attendance here, but we just ask that, you know, you leave the discussion of the city council at that point. So anybody for the public forum this evening? All right, hearing none, then we'll move on to our sanitary sewer project, and we've got a public hearing scheduled for that right now. So I will open up the floor for a motion to start that public hearing.
I'll make that motion to open the public hearing for the sanitary sewer rehabilitation project.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote for that. Rogerson.
Aye.
Keeney.
Aye.
Sexton.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
And Grinstead.
Aye.
All right, so it is 6:03 p.m. And we'll start our public hearing, so anybody wishing to speak on the sewer project, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, you can come up here to the podium if you'd like.
Mary Jane Stone, owner of the Ice House Building. I got the letter on your sewer repairs, and I was just curious as to what's happening and how this is gonna affect the property owners.
Okay.
Do you mind, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, if you want to give a quick summary, make sure that everybody's clear on that before they give their input.
So I take it everyone is here received a letter, so thank you for coming. That was the purpose of sending it out to make everyone aware about a project that would potentially affect you as property owners. So every year, the city of Riverside, we do cleaning and visualizing our sewer system. And with that, we'll find things like areas that need to be relined or areas that may need to be repaired, or in some cases, sewer taps that have roots, blockages, or other issues that would need to be addressed. Because the basically tap beyond your sewer service line is the property owner's responsibility to maintain. While we found some of those issues during our routine cleanings, and then wanted to notify you of those. But we're also doing a larger sewer repairs project that we have the opportunity to include some of those repairs into, with the idea that we would bid out as part of the entire project, we'd be able to provide hopefully a solution that would be a bit more affordable than doing it on your own. So we would have received a letter that would have stated what the issue is. I know some of it might be like as big as a root blockage or 20-cent blockage. I was working with the information that we have from our engineers, and hopefully as we get bids back and be able to provide information of cost back to you guys, that it would be a little more easy to understand what is specifically wrong with your sewer line and what the cost would be. But our plan was to be able to provide you with the opportunity to see the estimated cost, and then at that point make a decision, is this something you want to be a part of, or find your own contractor to do the work for you. So as a whole, we just wanted to try to, provide a sewer repair option that was a little bit more affordable than we could do on your own. But it was, I guess, Alan and this anything there, Dave from B&K, did I miss anything there we should speak about?
Well, I'll ask those of you in attendance, is that clear? Do you have any additional questions? I won't make anybody come up to the podium here going forward. I suppose if we've got enough questions, we'll just try to handle those as they come up. So anybody else wishing to speak or any questions about what the project entails? Go ahead.
When will we have the information about the actual blockage, what it is, and the cost?
So our schedule for the project is, we'll have bids coming back, I believe, beginning of April. Let me check our private timeline. Yeah, so we'll be receiving bids on the 2nd. So early April is when we have bid information to actually give you a estimate of what the cost would be to do the repairs.
Do we have a deadline to have it repaired?
Not yet. Right now, we've just been going out to get costs. We want to notify you of the work, and then from that point, it'll provide you with a cost, and then we'll work on a deadline to work on there. We have had a conversation about setting a deadline of when the repair will be done by, but right now we're just taking those first steps to get information to get back to you.
And you'll give us detailed information so that if we do go out and get our own contractor to do it, they'll have that information going in.
Dave, can you hear me? So we have a resident who's asking for like when we have a breakdown of the costs for residents. So for example, we're able to go at an individual address, look at a scope of work. We'll be able to provide them with a detail of what the issue is and what work would need to be done to fix it, or what information will we be able to provide them upon receiving our bids back. Makes sense.
It does.
So
But
basically
I'm sorry,
what we're saying is we've identified that you have an issue.
but he said unconfirmed, I thought.
What's that?
Did he, I'm sorry, whoever's on the video, didn't he say unconfirmed?
It's based upon the footage we received during our annual cleanings. So, in this case, like, whatever bidder we would choose for this entire project, if you opted into it, they would still do a, pre-construction televising to confirm the issues. So in this case, if there wasn't an issue and you found then you wouldn't be having any work that you pay for. But in this case, like if you were to have your own contractor do it, they would also have to get eyes on it, and I guess visualize it before the repair can go in. So whether, let's say it's our contractor confirms it or yours through your own, what you choose to go for that route, that would be done at that point. I don't know if that quite makes sense, but hopefully we'll be able to, with our quote review back to you, you understand what the issue is.
Okay.
You'll be able to provide that to anyone to either get a second opinion on it or go from there.
Go ahead.
So is the scope of the work going to be involving street repairs as well?
There'd be, there's only a couple very minor spots. Most of it is for the main work is all sewer lining. There's a couple of point repairs. Dave, do you know by chance, off topic of which areas specifically have point repairs that would require a street excavation?
So Dave, the other two areas that you're speaking of, would those be areas that are city responsibility or would those potentially be resident responsibility? Do we have?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's,
And this point repair would be city, would be a part of the main.
Yeah, anything under the street.
Everything that was, properly was notified where it was, like a tiger Y, so like it, with the cap itself and the main, root blockage, those were the primary,
Gotcha.
issues.
Okay.
So all of those, Dave, am I correct, like the tiger Ys, all of that stuff can be, it's all done, inside. It doesn't require any kind of excavation for those.
Have you found any stored water into the sewer water issues yet when you scope the cameras?
That's, so part of this is identifying places where that's the reason why we do the repairs on it. So, I mean, there's certainly places, a lot of opportunities where that could occur.
I know one. Ended up in my basement.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Quick question, impossible to answer. So bids will go out April 2nd. What's your timeline to get this all done? This summer, early fall?
Final. Go ahead, Dave. The schedule we have in front of us tonight, it has final completion as of the end of October. Any other questions?
For some of the businesses downtown, is there going to be problems with street parking with customers? Or would there be some significant places where you would recommend parking if, a certain block is being?
Mary Jane, aside from the potential excavation work that would be a part of the bank area, the rest of it probably wouldn't be any more obstructive than like the annual sewer cleaning when they have like the jetting trucks that go around. So in this case, like the parking lot we have behind the bank is always an opportunity for people to park at. If there's, say, we need to move some cars out of the way to access an manhole for the lining. So I mean, there's a few that we can definitely identify places for alternative parking and stuff like that for the businesses. But as a, I guess, a whole, have to try to work and notifying where a construction is taking place, so we can work with one another to coordinate parking around that. But we can't promise that there's gonna be no disturbances, but we're gonna try our best to limit them.
We can make sure that that's part of the discussion when we get the project started in our construction meetings and try to have a better idea for you of what any potential impact will be and
Especially to be a little creative on, I guess, working with the contractor on when they would do work. So if there's an area where, say if it's downtown, there might be some, there might be a day of the week where it's a little slower for businesses, where it could be a bit more favorable day to do that kind of work on that day. We can try to coordinate that with the contractor to just try to do that more community friendly project.
I know for the Chico they are closed on Monday, so that would be an idea.
Monday seems like usually a pretty slow day for businesses, so.
Yeah, this is where it would be, advantageous.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Would you prefer, when you get the bids back for, businesses downtown to engage with your person that you choose to do that, to maybe make the process go faster or be more coordinated, or rather than, someone else? Multiple people as subcontractors?
Sorry.
Well, what do I mean by that? Okay, so I'm concerned with the Chuba local building and, well, my husband used to do sewer repairs in town years ago. I don't know that my son has as much knowledge as he had about it, but to me, if you choose a contractor and it's someone that my son might know and might know what quality work he does, he may say, okay, can you do our connection there, and, would that be advantageous for others to, think about it from that?
Dave, so with this project, I'm assuming that we would send out notices to the property owners upon awarding a contract, because we're treating this as an alternate item. So at that point, we'd have the contractor in place, so we'll be able to notify who the contractor is, what the estimated cost is. Is that correct?
So, Mary Jane, they're not digging it up. They're shooting a liner through it.
Okay.
From maybe they dig it up in the area where they start, they're just shooting a liner through it. And that's kind of a specialized deal. There's a lot of contractors probably out there that do it, but they're not digging it up and replacing the pipe and re-gluing it. They're just shooting the liner
It's
through it.
primarily from manhole to manhole.
Yeah. To maybe help answer your question.
Okay. And Chad, my son would probably know more than I do about this, so he probably taking my notes and he would have sat here and.
Good to have information.
Yeah, you can tell Chad to call me or whatever, and I can try and explain that to him too.
Well, I'm getting involved and I will be out of the picture. You want to ask so many questions.
Do you guys have any kind of an estimate of what we're looking at? I mean, is it gonna be $10,000? Is it gonna be $2,000?
I honestly don't know what the cost of these run.
I thought we had a general idea of about 1,500 or so, potentially.
Hey Dave, can you hear me? So for So David's about 1,500, 2,000 for each Tiger Y, and then with those properties that just have roof cutting, would those be a little cheaper then on those? So, yeah, with the properties that just have root cuttings, would those be, like root blockage, would those be cheaper than Tiger Y installation? Can you hear me now? Am I be a little closer? Is that helpful? So with the property owners that just have root cutting or root sawing, would those be cheaper than those that are doing a Tiger Y installation? So the property owners that we sent out notification to that say, like on your plan showed like a 20% root blockage, would those property owners be a part of this project, or were we supposed to only notify them of root blockage? They were supposed to take care of that themselves? Gotcha, okay, so that was my mistake, then I notified them, everyone that was on the list regardless, so it should have been just only those that received a letter that mentioned a why that was needed on the letter will be the part, I guess, with the ones that will be a part of this project. Okay, my apologies on that, I'm sorry. So if your top of the line, your letter says Y as in W-Y-E, that would be a part of this project, but if it says like roots or blockage on there, that would be something that you probably need to call a plumber or someone for
City sewer,
that sort of
or
thing.
Mike Netzer or
So
something.
my apologies on that.
Can you say those names again?
City sewer.
City sewer, Mike Netzer usually is who does that stuff around here.
So if it says 20% blockage, we can basically.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry for all the.
No, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Is there a potential of problems with the residential service lines needing work, holding up this project on the city side?
Thank you.
So I guess my final question on that. So if we were able to have a hard deadline on the opt-in to make sure that the contractor knew who was participating and who doesn't, that would probably give them far enough notice that they would be able to do all of them while they're here for the larger project. Perfect. Thanks, Dave.
All right, did I see another question out there somewhere?
Yeah, I have another.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, on my letter it says WYE tap needed, what is that?
That's what this would be. So if, Dave, can you explain what a Y is?
I mean, is it just like the letter Y? I mean, is that, Kind of the thing, okay. Thank you.
And how is that different from trim tap? That's what my letter said.
So Dave, there was one property owner that had, a note that says trim tap on it. Was that, a Y that's already on there that was, needs to be trimmed around it, that could, it's like, I guess waste was catching on it, or what is that for? So that would be a part of this project then?
Does that answer your question?
And this is from tree roots?
No, your pipe sticks too far into the main.
So our main sewer line is like this, and then your sideline goes in, well, it's just pushing into the main line a little bit, so they gotta shave it off. That's kind of what that is.
Because I have no trees.
They just have to shave it off so it's flush. And if it's a part of the line that we're gonna line, that can't be sticking out, because then the liner doesn't go flush with the pipe.
Glad you understand. Thank you.
Nope.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yep, go
Are you
ahead.
gonna be lining mostly clay tile, or are there some cast iron stuff, or?
That's a good question. Dave, did you hear that question? So we'll. Okay. Yep. Anything else?
Do you know about how many of these Ys need to be installed? Or how many,
26 or 30 on there.
how much footage lining? Sorry, I missed the first part.
Yeah. So our, liner looks like we have some different quantities, for 8-inch, 12-inch, and 15. Looks like there's 2,349 feet of 8-inch, 754 foot of 12-inch, and 793 feet of 15-inch. I believe, and there's a partial liner on here for 8-inch. Looks like 10 linear feet, but
Thank you.
So I'm assuming when you're saying 8, 12, and 16, maybe 8's for a home, and maybe 16 would be more like for the.
it depends on where the area in town is. Some areas where we have more flows, we have larger. So like if they have more, an area with more connections and more usage, we're gonna have a larger, it would have a larger main there. But that won't affect, individual property owner comes there.
And Chadwick talks with Brian or somebody, don't know all that stuff. I'm just trying to take some notes.
Anything else?
Yeah, is there a visual on the damaged pipe that we're talking about?
We do have camera footage from, how long ago was that? Was
Well,
that?
it'd be a mix of the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you live and where you're at, where you live in town. on how new that is because we rotate when we do our annual cleanings, we do about a third of it each year. So it could be anywhere as, from last November or as old as a couple years.
So is that available to people involved?
We should be able to, get that if you want that information, you should be able to get that.
Have a camera myself.
Say that one time.
Could I camera it myself?
You absolutely could, but if you would like, I think we could provide you with a picture of your cab.
So approximately, depending on the size of the pipes, what's the cost per linear foot?
So that's what we're going to bid on for that larger project. For an individual property
Is
owner,
there approximate cost? I mean, do you have?
I guess for a property owner, the only work that you would be involved in is the Title Y. That's roughly $1,500 to $2,500. But the lining would be a part of the city's maintenance, not the individual property owner's responsibility.
All right. Anything else? Well, thank you for all the feedback. I know it's pretty early in the process, so I apologize that some of our answers are vague at this point, but we are planning to discuss a little bit more this evening. So once we end the public hearing, we'll get into the discussion about the project plans. And if any questions come up at that point, like I said, we'd rather not have you just shouting out questions as we're trying to have the discussion. So if any questions come up and you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. And when we get to a point that's a good opportunity for that, I will call on you and let you have your say at that point. Anything else before we move on from the public hearing? I guess the other thing that I'll mention is as we move through this process, we'll make sure that we're communicating with you. The cost obviously is something that we want to figure out sooner rather than later for both of us, for you and for us, so that everybody knows what's involved here and how we can get it taken care of. So we're hoping that this is relatively low impact for you. Obviously, anything where you're having to pay for a repair like this is going to be not ideal, but we're going to try to work with you as best we can and try to make sure that we get this project taken care of and you don't have to worry about it again in the future, or at least for a long, long time. Anybody have anything up here before we close the public hearing?
Should a liner stick out past the hub or in the manholes at all? Or should it be flush with the hub?
With
From the manhole, where your sewer goes in the manhole, main sewers,
Yep,
and it's been lined, should that liner stick out past the hub at all? Or should it be in the pipe?
should it stick out into the manhole?
Yeah.
I guess I'm not probably the one to answer that. Dave, did you hear that question?
So there shouldn't be any liner sticking outside of the hub from the outlet of the sewer, right? And doesn't that create a blockage in the sewer line then, when it can go in stacking around by the liner, if it doesn't get into the hub first? Wouldn't that create a problem? Now, there's one in particular you can look at then, because nobody's done anything about it since I showed you pictures up here. But it sticks out about 4 or 5 inches into the manhole, which creates toilet paper stackage in and around the pipe, and nobody's done anything about it. South of the Riverside Fire Department. So. Yeah. You guys didn't know where it was at the first time here in town, so I don't know what to tell you.
All right, well, we can follow up on that.
That'd be great, because it's cost me a lot of money from the city sewers putting in my basement.
Gotcha.
Yep, 2 times in 3 years. And that's about enough.
Yep.
And it's all from storm surge, which I was told there wasn't any storm water going into the sewer water. So, want pictures, I got them. Want pictures of the liner, I give them to Mr. Smith over there already.
Okay. We will take a look
Along
at
with the attachments that you guys said you'd pay for all the problems I had too. But that didn't go very farther than walking out this door. So, after I was told you would, you know?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
I think we know where we're at, don't we?
We will look into that.
That'd be good.
We can let you know.
That'd be good.
All right, anything else? Okay, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing then.
I'll make that motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, motion by Sexton, second by Grinstead. Any additional discussion? All right, here none, we'll take a vote to close. Grinstead. Aye. Vote Schneider.
Aye.
Sexton. Keeney. And Rogerson. All right, so it is 6:36 PM. And we'll continue on.
You guys don't want to listen to us for the rest of the night?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, so our next item on the agenda is the resolution to approve the final plans and release for bid letting. We've got a few items attached. I don't know how you wanted to start that discussion, Cole.
Yeah, so these are the exact same plans we brought for you a month or so ago at this point. We did update the schedule, just to accommodate. There's different cities, I mean, Dave can speak to it, but different cities handle these type of projects in a different manner. We have always been a city that we do a public hearing before we put something out to bid. Some cities do it, they'll do a public hearing before they accept a bid. I guess this is kind of based off interpretation of the public hearing purpose, but in this case, it's to go over the estimated cost of the project, which the engineer provides, the plans, method of contract. So we always do it before we put the project to bid. So in this case, Dave's original schedule had that for the editing process. So in this case, it delays our project, start the project just by a few weeks. But for the sake of transparency on the project, we get people with help involved in earlier in that conversation, just so they don't have like oh, we have bids in hand, you're already ready to approve that, and there's a little more competition. But anyways.
Well, and honestly, due to the fact that this has some direct cost to the residents, it might not be a bad idea to have another public hearing when, yeah, just so they can provide any feedback at that point.
Yeah, so for tonight, I mean, it is the same plans here. It looks like any the residents who would potentially be involved in this would just be the ones that have point repairs, wires that would need to be installed here. We do have an estimated cost on the project. Let's see, construction of $304,902.15 with a 10% contingency, making the estimated cost of the entire project, and that's with the wide, the responsibility section. That brings it to a total of $390,445.17. Our schedule, beyond tonight, would be, starting tomorrow, plans and specifications would be available to prospective bidders. Bid notice would be posted. We anticipate receiving bids on April 2nd, 2026, and that would be here at City Hall at 2 p.m. And then on the 6th, that would be, I guess, next council meeting, would be available to award the contract. Sounds like maybe we want to encourage some more property owners to come back to that. However, I think it would be best that in order for us to give them the cost, that we would need to have a contractor selected for the project. So I think we would probably want to, after awarding the contract, set another public hearing and re-invite those members of the public back to a council meeting to go over the estimates that they've received. And then from there, we give notice to proceed the project, and then from there it's construction, coordination, and then estimated final completion in October. But other than that, this should bring our system back up to everything kind of addressed, and so we should be pretty good there. Dave, is there anything I'm missing on this conversation, or things that we should go over before city council takes a consideration on the resolution to approve the final plans and release it for the letting? Dave, just to temper expectations with this scope of work, I believe you tell me that there's really only a handful or so of contractors who do this type of work. I just like, what type of bid response should we expect for this? What would be a good response? Thank you.
I don't know what questions we have up here.
So I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2026-12. Approve final plans and release for bid letting for the sanitary sewer rehabilitation project.
I'll second.
Okay. It's a motion by Rogerson, second by Schneider. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote on that. Rogerson.
Aye.
Keeney.
Aye.
Sexton.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
And Grinstead.
Aye.
All right, that is approved.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep, appreciate it, Dave.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is the Riverside Fire Department report. Thanks for your patience, guys.
Just here to kind of recap last year's calls, and then I know we have some office space project, and I think Jake had reached out about a RISA request. So last year we had 311 calls. That was up from 255 the year before. Of those, really our busiest times of the day is from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. It's kind of where it fell, averaging about 26 calls a month. It was pretty close to split, 46% fire-related calls, 54% was EMS-related calls. Of those, 13 of them were structure fires that our members responded on. And then of the 311 calls, there's 24 calls that we had no response to, and those were medical calls. So we had nobody available that time of day. Kind of some things from last year and moving into this year. The EMS tax, that was a big thing last year. That got voted and approved. The EMS Advisory Council has a agreement in place that's been agreed upon. It's in the Board of Supervisors' hands. Barring any I would encourage you to reach out to whoever our board of supervisors, I believe it's Marcus, and encourage him that this is a good thing. But the way it is set up right now, it should be paid out just like fire tax money is. So I think Riverside is slated to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $65,000 a year from the EMS tax. So that'll be a huge help to our service, to our budget. Just talking to Cole and some things that we can do to improve our service. That one would be greatly appreciated and used immediately. So that should be approved. I don't think it's on the board of supervisors this week, but hopefully next week, so that can be done. Everyone can start planning and budgeting for that money coming in. So that'll be a huge win for the county. Been working with Axiom on some fire code issues with the new wellness center. Just some questions on layouts for sprinkler system, fire alarm panels, Knox boxes, things like that. Got all that answered. Some of that stuff I relied on some neighboring departments that have fire marshals that deal with this every day. So asked them for their input, kind of what the standard is, or what kind of everyone is doing, or what the next expectation is. So we got all those answers so far at this point. So I think that project's moving along with Axiom. They had about 6 or 8 questions, I think, as far as related to that stuff. So we have a new EMA director, Nathan Schmucker. Still does some deputy work, but primarily EMA. I will say in my 26 years of being on Riverside Fire Department, this is hands down the best EMA director we've ever had. So a great move by the county hiring Mr. Schmucker. He's done a lot of great things for us in his short term being there. He's had a lot of catch up to do from the previous stuff, but he is doing a fantastic job in the county. So I believe, Alan, are you on the EMA board? So, yeah. Can relay that to the rest of the board, but from a fire and EMS standpoint, all the services are very impressed with his work and what he's doing. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, appreciate that feedback.
So, other than that, the new engine is still on track. Should be here looking like final inspection September or August, September timeframe. It's got a little bit of work to be done at the Reliant shop in Des Moines when it gets here from Pierce. So hopefully having it ready, like everything mounted, ready to go, trained on, hopefully by October. So.
Okay, Chattanooga attached, some, looks like, schematics of the engine. Is there any changes or any updates there? Or just.
Nope, that's just a bit, yeah, that's what it'll look like. So the apparatus committee here, January timeframe, sat down with the, Reliant rep and went through the final kind of every compartment, went through the cab, locations of all switches, buttons, compartment layouts, tool mounts, things like that. So everything is done, locked in, and production will probably start sometime in May. They generally take somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 to 4 months to build. Any questions on the fire department related stuff other than the 2 other items?
It's been what, 2 or 3 years ago we got that new monitor deep machine. How's that working out for us?
They're in the final, that's been a long process. They're in the final phases of getting everything else we needed to move to that paramedic level service. The biggest hangup was the pharmacy agreement, and the ambulance switched away from the hospital, or switching away from the hospital to controlling their own. So then we will just work with them to get the pharmacy items or drug items that we would need for our service. So that should be all done and completed here in the next couple of months. So we're already, all the stuff has been done with the state and approved. So we're just that final pharmacy piece. So nothing in that part moves fast.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, everything's ready to go. We just had to wait on that last piece so that we had that stuff for the members to use.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just Chad, while you're here, do you want to go over the fire department office expansion that we had in the budget?
Yep. Yeah, so the office expansion was in the budget that we're currently in, so we got 3 bids back. We're just adding 2 office spaces upstairs, obviously as our department grows and things progress. When the station was built in 2007, it had 1 office, so 7 officers trying to work out of 1 office becomes a little hectic, a little bit of a hassle, a little bit of a mess. So trying to give some more space so that folks can work and have meetings and do their job without, being interrupted for some other tasks. So, those 2 spaces will be added upstairs, where we have room to expand and grow. So, we got the 3 bids back, 3 local contractors, all that, do very good work.
Do you have, is any of the electrical stuff included in any of these?
So the electrical stuff, aside from maybe adding an outlet or moving a light, where we're putting this, it sits in the corner of the upstairs. All the outlets, all the IT stuff, that stuff's all in place. So they looking at it, they will be able to do the electrical stuff themselves, and it's just adding maybe an outlet, and the stuff is already ran in there, so they don't have to run any new service or anything.
The only other question I have is, I mean, after we get this built, thinking about furniture and technology, would be, I think, the next conversation we need to have on outfitting these. So, I guess, do you have any feedback on any of these?
I don't have a preference. They're all 3 really good folks, really good contractors, so,
Looks like Chris is the lowest, and
that, I mean, Chris is lowest, that leaves us a little room there, a couple thousand left to get some desks to furnish that out too, that would still keep us within the budget.
It seemed like they all had immediate availability to work.
Yep. Are you anticipating that, like, I guess, how quickly do you think?
I would guess time they get, notified tomorrow, and I would guess in the next couple of weeks or so, they could probably get started, hopefully.
do you need anything from us?
Just a motion to approve. This would be, this is a level that's higher than what Alan and I can approve, so it'll be brought back to city council.
Or do you want us to pick, or just give the motion and go with their choice?
Chad, do you have a recommendation on this?
I have no problems going with Chris Sexton.
I'm also comfortable with Chris.
I am too. I'd make a motion to approve Chris Sexton Enterprises bid for the office expansion on the fire department.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Anything else you want to go over?
What was the RISA thing that Jake wanted? Was that just to approval
it's-
for our
Yeah,
permit
so like we
again?
did last year, so last year we moved, the Risa raffle dinner to the fire station. Everything I heard from Jake went well, we haven't had any complaints on here, this would just be permission to go after the alcohol permit to go reuse the facility, because it is a, public facility. We typically don't allow alcohol, on those, unless there's permission by city council, so in this case, we wanted to bring that back to city council to get permission on it. So we get the, appropriate, I guess, alcohol license for this.
Yeah, I mean, we have the date already picked out of November 7th. I know last year, we thought we had plenty of time, and the state kind of retooled their whole process and shut down for a while, so we kind of cut it close. So I think Jake's just trying to want to get out in front of it, so just getting approval to get that liquor license for our event in the fall is what Jake's looking for.
The plan is exactly the same.
Plan's exactly the same, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve, the Risa raffle dinner, November 7th, permission to sell alcohol.
Second.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Kevin, all right. So motion by Rogerson, second by Keeney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is approved as well. Anything else?
Yeah, anything else for us?
No, in a couple weeks, I guess, it'd be good for you and I to sit down in the next couple of weeks to go over some budget stuff as we're getting close to this numbers getting final. But especially it seems like we're getting somewhere on EMS numbers and.
Yeah, I hope that's a done thing. It's been a long process. It's a very much needed thing. I mean,
I would say, I got the point where in the budget where we can essentially, from a record keeping standpoint, I'd like to build up categories that just work in, congruent with what the county wants for reporting purposes and.
yeah, I know that, whatever reason, one of their big sticking points from the board of supervisors was, they were concerned that if, the services got the money, that, I don't know what we would do with it other than not spend it on EMS, but, They kept saying, oh, the money has to be audited, and it's like, well, our money comes to the city, like, we can show, and pretty much everyone else either has it through the city or runs it through like a fire district or, a trustee, so like, everybody's stuff is audited no matter what, so it was, finally got through that, was like kind of last big hurdle, that the money would just be paid out like fire protection money, which makes the most sense and is the easiest for everyone involved, including the county auditor.
We'll comply with whatever.
Yeah, it's,
What is that viable to us, so.
Let me know when they're meeting, if you find out, and I can go down there and
Okay.
back you up on that.
sounds good.
I did have one question. He was asking about the electrical, but do you have internet connections up there and everything already?
Yeah, all that stuff was run when the station was built, so there's
I didn't know.
yeah, there's an outlet in that, internet and phone outlet in the west wall there that will work for both spaces.
Okay, I just, we had it.
Yeah, that stuff was all there, so. It was
That's good.
kind of, like, that kind of center part where these are going, was kind of left open with stuff put there, but knowing that that would be like the part where we expand, so.
That's good. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all you guys do. Such a rider.
He's the hardest worker.
All right, next up is the people service report.
Sorry, I'm not sure what happened on our agenda template, but I didn't have, Aaron on here if you would like.
I wondered about that, yeah.
Sorry about that. It's funny. If you'd like to go and have the floor.
Sure.
All right, for the month of February 2026, Riverside had a total of 81 calls, with 54 of those being traffic stops. And in comparison to February 2025, Riverside had 110 calls with 65 of those being traffic stops.
We're getting better.
Any questions?
It's nice and calm, kind of.
This morning was a bit hectic on the 4 lanes, but through that, so.
You guys doing any, GTSB stuff for St. Patty's Day tomorrow?
Yes, we do GTSB every month. We get overtime through a grant from the state of Iowa, and then officers can pick and choose when on their days off to work extra shifts to provide traffic enforcement. Prepare most boys, seatbelts, operating while intoxicated, and distracted driving enforcement.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jay,
My
you're up next, yep.
Good evening. Oh, a few things are going on. That 4-inch water meter at the new RV park, we finally got in. They were rerouting the 4-inch line up into there's a little garage space that's heated on the south side of it that they're gonna 90 it in there. I left everything in there for him so we can get the measurements out, and that should be completed here any day. I don't think they were in there today, but I don't blame them. At the RO, or at the water plant, RO number 1, the little booster pump VFD finally failed. We've been running it on manual for, I think, as long as I've been here. It had been looked at before. Per the cost, we decided that we were just gonna wait until, because we had backup ROs. We were gonna wait until it finally failed to get it changed out. Electric pump was in last week, looked at it, and they're gonna come back with quotes and see what we gotta do to get that fixed. The only difference is we just run the other 2 on manual now, instead of cycling through 3 every day. We just manually operate each other one every other day. At the waste plant, we had that water line freeze and break. We replaced most of it to the screen unit. Whenever I turned this in, so I finished up some other stuff put in a valve so I could just isolate that screen unit, and I turned the water on, and we found another little leak in it. So, next week, we're gonna have that replaced, get the water turned back on. I think the biggest thing so far was, so UV was supposed to start yesterday. Weather requirements, so we were worried about that trough that the UV system sits in, always has water in it. Well, I knew it was gonna be freezing cold, so we were talking to other places on what they do if they have crazy weather, things like this. Well, we ended up calling, I don't remember his name, Field Office 6 DNR gentleman, just asking kind of what our options were. Since we do have an SBR there's not constant flow through that, we didn't want it freezing solid and breaking our new UV systems. He said, yeah, actually, he was happy we called. He said, get it in before April 1st. So now that the weather's gonna change again, we'll get that hooked in. We have a walkthrough.
The final walkthrough the UV replacement project, because at the end of the season, they had to send back the control cabinet because of, when they fabricated it, they were placed too close together and the fan was on the inside, so it didn't make good circulation, so they flopped. They refabricated the cabinet, added it on the other side, reinstalled it, and then the idea was they wanted to have a couple weeks of run times on it before we do a final walkthrough, just to make sure everything's working properly. So that would be, I think, the first week of April, we have a final walkthrough of that, and then we'll have V&K will bring that back to council groups for final acceptance of that project, so we close that one out. But we've kind of just been waiting on, I mean, we found out about this right after it got installed last year, and then it was something that it wasn't a big enough deal, but it needed to get done for long term for it to make, again, for it to be best fitted. So we waited in the season and then flopped around so we wouldn't have any delay in or any issues with any treatment during the season last year. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been waiting on that project, and next couple weeks we'll have that done and then closed out and keep it in there, so.
Yeah, and our, so when we start doing E. coli testing, we have to have all 5 done for the quarter in 1 month. And it would have been kind of a push anyway to get it done, especially now with these, whatever, these last couple of days, and then availability, and then to get the walkthrough scheduled. So we'll have it in we'll have it in next week, and then we'll have that couple weeks of runtime, make sure everything's running well, have the final walkthrough, and then get our E. coli's done next month and rock the summer away, I guess.
So with the concern about it freezing, what if we were to have freezing weather in April or even next year after we put it in? What's the potential for us to have damage to the unit?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
I mean, I think it is something like these early spring months, we do need to keep an eye on it, and if you have to hold them. I know it's a tough deal to winch them up and then wheel them out and put them away, but that's probably about it.
So what we ran into, I don't know if anybody's been to the waste plant, but so these new ones are taller than our old ones were. So the winch system we have in there now, when that's winched all the way up, to the top of the pit, and then the bottom of the winch isn't tall enough. So there was a couple feet where we couldn't drag it to get it up on top, to put them in the garage. So we just had to winch them about, and then we set them in the corners of the down below and just ratchet strap them together. And
so do we get replace our winch?
you need to look at maybe getting a taller winch.
That's something new.
It makes sense to talk about that as part of the walkthrough then and see if there's anything additional that we need to be looking at.
Yeah, because they would have put them in with probably a boom truck or something like in that area, so they probably didn't even use our winch.
Yeah.
So they didn't notice it, and we didn't notice it.
I think there's an opportunity as a whole we're gonna reconfigure that. Do we look at
Enclosed.
that shed? I don't know about enclosing it, but at least reconfiguring the shed, so then it comes up and then it can go right into a Cause right now you have to bring it up, it goes on the cart, and then you open the garage door and then up and around till we did some concrete work around there. But, it just kind of, I mean, it's, just a garden shed, doesn't have electrical to it or anything like that, I believe there, so, I mean, there's, the winch could be one aspect of it, but you always could do more, but if anything, I think
And there's electricity right there, so we can run something 3 feet to the garage.
anyways,
Yours are under a roof?
so it's, we have a like, kind of a little shed where.
Yeah, it's a very small garage that we store them in normally during the winter time.
But so you're saying the winch is over the troughs?
Yes.
Yeah, so the winch goes over the trough. We winch it up, and then there's a little gap in the railing.
You swing it out.
Then we swing it through, put them on this
It's not
little
tall enough.
square cart, roll them up into the garage.
Are those winches on like I-beams or something?
It's an I-beam. Yep.
So we just need to raise the I-beam
I
on?
think you can
It's kind of pivoting, swing arm.
Sorry, I've never been out there. I've been to Iowa Cities and theirs are just like outdoors.
Yeah, it goes just like and the winch itself is on the rail. Yeah,
And it trolleys
yeah, but
over.
you can pull it back and forth and then it swings around.
Okay, I got you.
I think it's probably as simple as, I don't know, fabricating a hyper winch arm on it. I don't know, but that's something we're going to get that replaced this year.
I think our water usage went back down. That leak at the waste plant, I think, had a lot to do with it.
So was that like a 2-inch line?
Yeah, it was 1.5 inches full bore for almost a day, is kind of what we figured out.
A lot of loss.
It was a lot of water. That's about it.
Okay, any questions?
Nope. I'll give you a call sometime, just come out, take a look at your wastewater stuff. I haven't been out
Yeah.
there for some time.
That goes to any.
Yeah, anybody, so.
Yeah, I'll join in on that, just out of curiosity. So I know what it's about.
Yeah, I drove Chris around for probably an hour and a half. It was good. And I know Stephanie, we're gonna do something this spring just to get some eyes on some
I
stuff.
don't think I've ever seen the system we're talking about here, be either installed or removed,
Oh, yeah.
or where they're at.
Comments were underwhelming once you got there.
It's not as cool as it sounds.
That's like when I went out to Iowa Cities.
Cooler day would be better than a warmer day.
I went out to Iowa Cities and I'm like, yeah, I really thought there'd be more than this.
Right.
Alan, this time, but, you and I were on a call with, Chris and Chad from Legal Service talking about renewal. I think we're getting closer to having a agreement to bring back to city council. Alan, I'll let you.
Yeah, so, we met, we reviewed the agreement, People Service had made some recommendations for changes. We responded with some recommendations that we wanted to see, primarily around the area of just making sure we had documentation of procedures and testing processes and preventative maintenance that happens and the schedule for that and that type of thing. So we reviewed that today. I think at this point, the biggest hurdle that we still need to get through, and our agreement is up at the end of June, I think, so we've got some time. But the People Service team is pushing for a 5-year renewal. I think we were hoping for it to be, we were asking for 1, which may have been asking for a lot, but I think we would like to see it maybe 2 or 3 years, just so we've got an opportunity to make sure some of those things that we're asking for within the agreement get delivered. So that's kind of where we left things today. I think we're going to come back with some options for the term on the agreement. And once we get that, we'll bring it back, we'll discuss it and go from there. So the options that we're looking at right now are the current agreement allows for a 1-year renewal But like I said, that, I think we would both like to see some changes to the agreement. And then they were recommending a 5-year term.
5-year rollover.
Yeah, and I had asked for a 2-year term with a 2-year renewal period. So I think if they want to go any longer than that, the question that I responded back with, I don't know if you saw it in the email that I sent today, Cole, is if we're agreeing to a longer term than 1 or 2 years, I think there should be some financial incentive for us to do so. So I kind of threw that question out to them and we'll see how they respond. And I would hope maybe by our next meeting, we would have an idea of what direction we're headed there and we could bring that back for discussion.
I do think like obviously things have, I mean, I'll give credit directly to you, Jed, and Brandon on this, and, but, you know, things have definitely improved. And I also think that goes hand in hand with the city investing quite a bit of money in all our facilities the last few years. But we also want to make sure that, you know, things are.
It's the best.
So we also just want to make sure that, you know, we're staying up at those, and then that they're being, maintained and ran properly. A lot of the questions on documentation is not necessarily any kind of concern over how things are necessarily being operated right now, but it's more of how can we best perform together as a team and looking at reconciling what the preventive maintenance that needs to be done, what's coming up, what has been done, so we can kind of just, the same thing goes with testing, reporting, just so we're all on the same team, because we all have a direct investment in the facilities and ultimately the end product being something that our community can be proud of and serve our community well, so.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. It makes our job easier if we know what the expectations are in terms of maintaining the equipment and things like that. And we want Jed and Brandon to be here for a long time, but the other reason for having all of that is so if there is some transition to somebody else, we know that everything's gonna be taken care of appropriately after that. So we will have that relatively soon and hopefully we've got an agreement that will work well for both parties.
Jed, anything else?
I don't think so.
I have a question, and I've been a thorn in Cole's side, but
Thank you. Not been a thorn, but for mention this, thank you.
why is the gate being left open out there? In
At
less
the
than a
waste
week,
plant?
it was 3 times in less than a week, just a couple weeks ago. So that has been one of my concerns for a long time because we have put so much money into those plants. When you guys leave, are you shutting it? Are you locking it or just shutting it? Okay,
So a lot of times the company that,
and,
maybe we're having issues with them again.
It's,
okay, and with that being said, that's what I said to Cole. I said, I'm not blaming, you guys are not blaming him, but if they are the source of that, then,
I know there are multiple times where they're after 4 o'clock when, you know, we're wrapping it up and we're getting out of here.
yeah, one night, we saw them going, it was after hours, going up, to go up,
Yep.
to get on the interstate, or however they go. So we drove down there, it was open. And I've been tempted just to put a different padlock on, so they have to sit there and wait for somebody, or cut it off. I just don't think, you know, if they're the problem, I wanna see something done to them.
Yeah.
Because
I'll make a call tomorrow. I'll talk to Tim Reinhardt's the one I go through, right?
that would be 10 Reinhardt, I believe.
Yeah. He has a whatever. He's the guy.
It's a subcontractor of a contract.
And I realize that, but I just said to Cole, you know, it's our problem that, you know, he's not getting anything done because
Tim's one hauling the sludge.
He contracts it out, but he's the guy
So
in
it could
charge.
be a contractor, a contractor's contractor, yeah.
And I've mentioned before, I think the ultimate solution is we need to have an automatic gate there if we really want to make sure that there's no potential for that. But I guess the other thing I'll say is we've got a renewal of that agreement coming up soon, don't we?
Yes.
I bet if we put a fee for them leaving it unlocked, that gets taken care of real quick.
Or in our agreement, they have to put that gate there if their people are lazy. I mean, it happens a lot, because, you know, we go out to the subdivision and it's, you know, with Homeland Security and everything, I said, you know, and we aren't in the area where maybe kids are, you know, tempted, but even if the gate's shut, it's not as tempting as if it's wide open and it's wide open, you know, so.
Well, to your point on that, I wasn't here when we started the contract, but I believe when that contract was signed, they did some, improvements to the, roadway in there, to accommodate their business. I think their renewal, it would make sense to throw it on there as a, here's part of the investment you're making as part of continuing.
Yeah, and I just think that if they're subbing and somebody, you know, down the line or something, yeah, somebody has to be held accountable. I just, like I said, I think it's a Homeland Security thing too, between the water and the sewer, and it's just been ongoing.
Did we previously have a contract with the university before NG bought
Not that I know of, it's always been with NG.
I believe so, yeah, that's my.
I think the contract around, originates from what, 2020 or 21, somewhere around there.
Sounds about right, I'm not positive.
it? Yeah, that's about the
NG's the
era.
original contract holder.
Yeah, that's about the era.
What hours
Thank
do
you.
they generally run?
It's usually, so we're usually at the plant, they're after 10 AM, but I see him, there's one guy that does it, cause I know he locks it, cause he always locks it different than I do, and it drives me nuts for some reason. I don't know why it drives me nuts, he does it back, I don't know, he does it backwards, but I'm like, well, at least they were, you know, then I know they were here after 4 o'clock or whatever. Doors locked, I appreciate it, like, I haven't been in there in the mornings with it unlocked in a while.
Like I said, it was even on the week, it was 3 times in less than a week, so.
Is it,
It's neither here nor there,
Do
And
they
then
run like
They
10
run,
o'clock at night or anything like that,
I
or
don't
not?
think it's that late, but I know it's been after, you know, I'll go home and then we'll run down through Riverside or whatever and I'll see him dumping.
but yeah, it's
But then I
like,
don't necessarily have to drive back by.
I'm not saying I thought it was you, but I
Oh, no,
thought,
we-
you're not.
We make it
they're
a point
doing
to lock it. It's usually me that locks it every day. Brandon usually gets to work a little earlier in the morning, so he's opening up the water plant, getting logs written down, and then I'm leaving around 4, locking both gates, going about my way, but
Yeah,
is it a key padlock or is it
Just a key.
a combination? Okay. Do we
So they have
any
a-
idea
yeah, they
how
have a
many
combo.
keys have been? Do we have any idea how many keys have been handed out for that?
So we have a little lockbox on the fence.
And there's a
with the
combination.
code,
to that.
yeah,
Okay,
so
so
they just-
basically it's a combination. I guess what I was thinking is with the number of potential people that we have involved in this process, that's another issue too, because who knows? I'm assuming that combination's been set that way for quite a while.
Yeah.
Who knows who has access to it? Yeah, so that's another reason I think having a gate and some type of fob access where it's locked would be nice.
I agree, if you're gonna be redoing contracts, I think the suggestion would be make them finance it.
Over the term of the agreement, even maybe we say that, you know, they pay for the cost of installing a gate or
yeah.
at least share in that cost.
I'd walk in gently on that if you value that contract.
Cause we get pretty good money.
Iowa City is building, right now, they've broken ground on a methane harvester. And so they're gonna be taking sludge like that and harvesting and selling back to Mid-American Energy. I don't know, I'm assuming the capacity is over what Iowa City can produce. That's typically what they do on a project like that. And NG is one of my customers. across the nation, and they don't play hardball.
I think I had a sensitivity for the contract and potential negotiation. I think we can probably put a pin in the conversation for tonight on this one, and we can.
Yeah.
I'll give Tim a call and say, hey, the gate's been unlocked a few times that we know of. Can you just pass it down?
Alan, did you have something to wrap up on that?
Well, it is what it is, I guess. I understand that we have revenue coming from that, but at the same time, it is our facility and we have the ability to say what the rules are in terms of access. So I think it can at least be a discussion, and if they decide to move on, that's fine. The reason we have the agreement is because they had somebody else prior to that,
Yeah.
you know, I think had wanted more for that, so it is. what it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just throwing it out right away to them, hey, you're gonna have to buy us a new gate. I'd walk into it gently. I'm not saying they wouldn't do it, but.
I'll talk to Tim. He's great.
Yeah, thank you
He'll definitely pass it on.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jed.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
All right, well, we'll
I'm
review the
gonna
city
carry this
engineer
home,
tonight.
I'm gonna land it in city, so, we don't really have, we didn't have wellness center, right now, we'll have Axiom and OPM, they were originally planning to come tonight to do a, update on the floor plans, those are attached in the packet, if you did want to look through those. There's not really a whole lot of difference, in their addition of a vestibule, riser room, and, a few, closet reconfiguration stuff, but we'll go over that, at one of the next couple of meetings when I get them back here. Other than that, it looks like, so it's like, getting the full building design, is going well, so they're at 95% completion, on the design, development documents. And April 10th is kind of their estimated completion date for those, so, Brian told me that the bid documents, they are early, they're looking at early completion, what they originally anticipated on that. So with that being said, if we do have, funding in a good place, that could open us up for an earlier, bid date than what we had originally anticipated, but we do still have a little bit of fundraising to do. We did get the grant application submitted to the Riverboat Foundation on Friday. Other thing, I was gonna mention, it's escaping me right now, and it'll come back later, sorry about that. Some of this site stabilization, issues that I guess I mentioned a month and a half ago. Axiom's been discussing different options there. Brian, I talked to him in the last week, said he'd probably have something in the next couple of weeks. At that point, we'd be able to make kind of a decision on, is that a scope of work we take on outside of the project or before the project? Because some of those site stabilization, work scopes would require some site settling as part of it, which would then, if we have, say, like a settling period of 3 months or something like that, that would be required. That would push construction back 3 months. So if it is a more specialized scope of work than what you would have like a GC do, you might see a higher cost by bundling into a bidded project. So we could bid it out separately, but we'll find out more about what that's gonna entail in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if it's gonna need to have any site settling or if it's gonna need to be outside the scope, but just wanted to temper expectations on what that could look like. Bulk of stuff tonight is going to be on the downtown revitalization. We do have a pay application number 8 for your consideration tonight. And then we also have a public hearing to set for April 6th, our next city council meeting. And that is for the status of funded activities that would be required as part of any kind of federal grant. So this is essentially they're gonna have a public hearing, the public can come and find out about what's going on with the project. I believe we'll have a representative from IEDA here. And then part of that we'll do walk through with the IED, representative, but, so that would be something we need to set. And then the pay application, for tonight, would be, here for it. Would be in the amount of $127,569.93. And that gives us, outstanding amount, for completion of $340,517.77. Let's see, included in this, there is a, progress update, report from, Martin Gardner, as well as a updated project timeline. It looks like they have completion still at, May 30th. Is what they're showing on here. That. I think that's about all I got for you on CDBG stuff. So if you would, we do have a couple resolutions to consider, and I will take any questions you have.
I got a question before we get into those, but on the 71 East, those stairs,
Yes.
decking, the handrails, are those gonna be wood, metal, or what's taking so long on those?
The plans show wood, and, it was last week, Stephanie and Carrie made me aware of it, and I went out there and I contacted Danielle and, ended up, we're gonna put some barricades around there. I believe they went and got that done, but, it's supposed to be a wood railing we're gonna install in there. I'm not sure why they didn't have it installed, when they did the rest of it, but it's been left without railing for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
So. Yes, aware of that one, Tom, and I've expressed frustration over there to, Danielle sent them to Bethany, who sent them to the contractor on it, but, I don't know where plan moved that schedule here. They are showing, let's see, 71 deck reline. I mean, they're showing on here that should have been done by now with the deck railing on 71, but, let's see if there's anything else on here. Bethany doesn't seem to mention anything about the railing on here. Can follow up with her and see, but, yeah, I don't have any updates on railing at this point in time. But it is on the plans. It shows wooden railing on there. Any other questions?
Is it on the payout?
What's that? What is it for, Lois?
Is it on the payout that we're paying tonight?
The railing?
Yeah.
It's,
It would be,
well, it says wood,
there's the concrete. I mean, there's wood,
it says wood deck is 100%, but
it says metal railing on here. 50%. So I remember looking at plans and seeing that it was wood, so unless I'm missing something, I can follow up on.
that'd be one way
Before
to
we,
get it, you know, I mean, we can approve it, but I would,
yeah, if you wanted to, you know, if you're comfortable with it, approving the application tonight, before we actually send the check, I will verify that with Bethany, the contractor, to make sure that they're gonna get that finalized.
I guess I would say that would be the thing to do, because if they're, I mean, it is
Well,
a
there's
danger, I
no
mean,
other metal railing going on anywhere, is there?
yeah, no,
wouldn't think so.
For $10,000?
Yeah, so it looks like there is nothing within this pay application. There was 5,000 paid previously for, I'm assuming for the
Probably
materials.
fabrication or something
Yeah.
material, but.
Yep,
Well, just the idea that we have to check and find out what the status is on it, because why they don't have barriers or something, you know, I would think, yeah.
Believe me, Louis, this is the exact conversation I had with them.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah, I,
Shouldn't have to be said.
You'd be surprised.
any other questions? So we've got the resolution to set the date for the public hearing. Do we have any questions about that? And if not, do we have a motion to approve that resolution?
Yeah, make a motion to approve the resolution 2026-13 on setting public hearing on the downtown revitalization project for April 6th at the Red River City Council meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Here none, we'll take a vote on the resolution. Grinstead.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Sexton.
Aye.
Keeney.
Aye.
And Rogerson.
Aye.
That is approved.
Paper. The next one's our resolution on the pay
The pay
application.
application, yep. So any discussion on that? Okay, the amount of that is $127,569.93. Any motion for approval of that?
I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 8,
Okay,
resolution 2026-14.
I'll second.
Again, I will follow with, that's in the contract before we get that check signed.
okay. Any other discussion on that pay application? If not, we'll take a roll call vote for that as well. Rogerson.
Aye.
Keeney. Sexton.
Yes.
Schneider.
Aye.
And Grinstead.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved.
Last but not least, we do have February financials. Alan, I will bring your feedback on the last council meeting or last month, on the bank accounts. I was able to actually find where to update that,
I
so
saw that.
I got those
Yep.
now identified. You know which account they are, we don't have the numbers on
Thank you.
them, but, so that's updated there. Let's see here. One thing to think of, I mean, I do have a rough draft resolution to update water and sewer rates, but our anticipated capital project costs for next year between, essentially part of this remaining fiscal year and next fiscal year for sewer between the SCADA project and the sewer rehab project, around 500,000, in total work. So, we will be kind of drawing down that sewer balance for that project. So that's just something to keep in mind that we'll need to, you know, make sure that we're adding to that to cover operations and keep building up a bit more balance in our future capital projects, but, there isn't any, thankfully on the sewer side, beyond the sewer rehab, project and SCADA system, there isn't a ton of, I mean, really major capital projects that I can think of that would be on the sewer side, so, that's looking pretty good there. I think Brett would probably make that final transfer and close out the capital projects balance at the next council meeting. Other than that, Stephanie, do you have any input? Questions from council? We do have, Stephanie, we're talking about today, we do have some utility accounts that have, you know, grown up a little balance where someone's moved away and we haven't recovered that. So we were talking today about kind of our options between property assessments or wage garnishment by sending to the state for certain cases where if a landlord has a lien exemption, that would, you know, go towards wage garnishment by submitting it to the state of Iowa. But also if it's a property owner, where they don't have a lien exemption, we can assess it to the property, to, recoup those costs as well,
I
so
mean, it just goes on the next person that moves in, right?
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of legal fees on that.
No.
There's only so much we can do.
That's what our ordinance provides, so that's what it is, so, I think would be, talk about getting Carrie involved in that as, you know, if we have nuisance abatement costs or something like that, where we would wanna go and assess the property, the cost of the property, it'd be a good kind of training exercise to figure out what that process is like, and just to kind of work the way through it and then get comfortable with it, and next time you do it, it's that much easier, so.
I would say a lot of these are prior to a year ago. So the ones that are happening now where they move, don't have a reporting address, those are being resolved either by a letter to the owner of the property, who will then pay it. Or, you know, a very minor balance, obviously the next person is willing to pay it. But these are older ones that I think we need to kind of go back and there's probably multiple on one property that we need to assess, so.
So what's the total dollar amount that we're talking about? Is that the final accounts
Yeah.
area?
Well,
there?
you wanna look at the surplus months, because I believe that the balance on the very end is actually taking off the credit where people have paid in advance. So it's really the $2,479.26, so we're not talking a substantial amount.
Okay.
It was how much?
About $2,500. Yeah, $2,479.26.
I think ideally it's just to get that cleaned up and then get a procedure that is immediately taken action on, I would say within 30 to 60 days of someone moving.
So where it's, someone doesn't pay, then they get shut off, they continue to don't pay, we have, oh, here's an action, follow through on it, and it's either assessed the property taxes or it's been sent to the state, and then it's off our hands, and then we'll be collecting at that point, hopefully. So at least it sends it to the proper channel to be collected in one of those years. But the other thing to consider is we currently do, our ordinances allow for lien exemptions to be offered to, I guess, landlords. Not all cities do that. So in this case, essentially what that does is if a tenant doesn't pay their bill on something and they move out, we can't hold the landlord liable for it. And in this case, you know, thankfully we have been able to work with quite a few landlords on getting those costs recouped. But when there's a lien exemption in place, that sending it to the state to potentially garnish wages requires them to earn taxable wages in the state of Iowa. So we could just be sending it off in the void to never be repaid, but.
I mean, if it holds it up for the sale of the property,
It only holds up for the
I don't know what
lien
more
is
you can
already
do.
there, though.
So this is a lien exemption, so in this case, we can't place a lien on the property because
we should get rid of that.
I don't disagree.
Are we requiring a deposit when the services are initiated?
Yeah, it's only $100 though, so depending upon, you know, how many people are in the home or whatever, it's, the final bill is usually that or more.
So we could always consider increasing our required deposit, that's another.
That's what I was wondering about.
Do we know what other communities charge for deposit?
I mean, it's a pretty easy to survey on time, it's, everyone would typically have that on their website, so let's see, I think I just saw Columbus Junction listed there, raised theirs to 200 or 250. I know rather than Mount Pleasant, it was the equivalent, they have often different utility system, but like, I wanna say theirs was equivalent to the highest months, in the past 12 months is what your deposit was, so that they would make sure that if you didn't pay your bill, they would always have a full deposit to.
Yeah, that solves the problem as long as they're not months behind, I guess.
Or this time of year and somebody moves out and turns the heat off and the pipe breaks and we're out 10,000 gallons.
Yeah. If it breaks before the meter, we would not know what's going on.
It's about to.
I would say that average leftover balance would range between that extra 100 and 150. So 250 would make a tremendous difference. If we increase the deposit to that, it would make a tremendous difference on collections.
Is it typically multiple months that they owe for?
No, it's usually final billing. So, you know, say they range $150 a month. So the problem is I think where the kid is, they don't pay they don't pay their bill because they think their deposit's gonna cover it, and what then they don't realize is it's not, if they still have another final bill. So then it's almost a double bill before you do the final billing. Well, by then they've already moved.
And
They
then
may or
you're
may not be
over
getting
$100.
Okay.
It's not a chronic issue that's tearing us down, but it's something.
And when they disconnect, I do explain to them, you know, we run from the 15th to the 15th, we'll have another final bill. You need to pay this bill, and then your final bill will come out of your deposit, and then your deposit is returned, but they still don't necessarily, I think, understand all of that.
We could just not explain that it's gonna come out of their deposit and just have them pay it and we'll return the deposit when everything's closed out. I don't know, I guess there's still just have a habit of, oh, I'm moving, and I'm not gonna pay the last bill.
So, that just doesn't sit in this matter. What do we as a council have to do to change this deposit?
That would be when we update our water and sewer rates, the deposit is listed in there because our deposit requirements set in an ordinance that has the rates. So at that point, we could adjust the required deposit amount with that. Like I said, I have a draft for that. I guess I'd be honestly ready to bring it to city council's first reading anytime on that. I think I've just been overthinking a little bit and trying to figure out what the perfect blend of rates and minimums are. The fact of the matter is we're not gonna make everyone happy, and we should probably do a small increase on, make it consistent and go from there, but that's.
Let's do that and then raise the deposit and then have the discussion of taking the exemption out for the
I
landlord.
would say the lien exemption is, well used. I'm not sure that
We have issued these in the last.
there are a lot of folks that understand truly what that means. I have done one
Okay.
in the last year. So I don't think that's definitely like an issue that's prohibiting us from collecting.
Any other questions? No, I turn it back over to you guys for closing comments.
Does anyone have closing comments?
I got a question. Is there a key for that plastic, or for the kiosk down, or whatever you call it, that, down on the trail when you post? Do we have a key for that, so we can update?
We do, but, so this, last fall, I had Kevin try to put out some wellness center, flyers. And the key that I thought was not it, so, and I have to see if Brian or Logan, if you have a copy of what it is. Because it's not the same one that's out here as what we discovered, so.
Those are from 23, and that's like 3 years old. I just do not have it if we're not gonna.
Like I said,
Kevin even took our giant can of
Yeah.
cheese that we don't know.
I got a full
Trying
cup.
to find it.
I have a lock switch set.
you mean a lock pick set.
Yes. I mean, I was trying to say it a different way, but.
Yeah.
And I'm getting pretty good.
What's the practice, there you go.
All right, anything else?
I don't.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn this time.
Those in favor say aye.
Right.
All right, we're adjourned at 7:42. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Is that ever? Next week.
I won't say it next time. I jinxed it, I tried to turn you, and you know what, never happens.
Kevin.
Production.
And good luck.
Hope you find something out.
Yeah, me too.
We'll go back and take care.
Yeah.
We're headed over.